Welcome to jsarmsco.com, where we're going to teach you how to make your stock high point look like this. We sell this kit and this kit. There'll be detailed instructions further in the video exactly how to do that, but you get a cut guide that you'll put in the screw holes here and here, or here and here. You cut on this side, not this side. Once it's cut, it'll look like that. Then you make the groove, and then you'll put the stock kit into there, and that groove blade right there will be tightened in with your screws that you put back in with your Allen wrench. Then your forend, you got 3 ribs, cut it off, and then you wind up with something like this. Obviously you have to have the gun out or you'll try to cut the barrel. Then you'll put the gun back in the stock. You'll put this plate that hides the cut end. Then you'll put this adapter with 2 set screws that you tighten down. Then you'll put the M-lock forend on with this hardware and tighten it down. And now the forend will be attached. Then you'll put the shroud back on. When you put the shroud back on, you'll put this rail on it, and then you'll have a complete flat top rail like you have here, like an AR. And then just for comparison, you can see the stock charging handle and an upgraded charging handle. And it is a hex head. Looks like that when it's installed. Number 1 selling item is right here. And we will get started on the instructions to how to install things next.
As you can see, we've got the stock in the saw. We've lined it up where we can get a nice even cut, nice and straight. Make sure that this side just kisses this side of the blade over here. And then we're going to do the cut. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have goobers and gobs. We need to clean all that up and take our cut guide off. And then we'll be ready for our next step. All right, we've cut our stock off and we've cleaned it up somewhat. Our next step is the adapter has a spine here. We need to cut a slot in here. So we're going to be going to the table saw next. But before we cut in the table saw, we need to remove these neck bolts, because if we don't, we're going to cut through our bolts. Now we have our neck bolts removed. We want to hang on to those. Do not lose those. We're going to take some duct tape, handyman's secret weapon. We want to duct tape the stock together tightly. And that is just so that when we're cutting this groove, the slot, if you will, into this poly here, it doesn't open up. Then you take your Sharpie, you find your seam, right where your seam is at. You put a mark, find your seam, and you put a mark. So we're going to set our table saw depth to 3/4 of an inch, which is the distance between here and here, 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to cut a 3/4 inch slot. All right, we've adjourned to the table saw, and we have raised the table saw blade up to 3/4 of an inch at the top here. We wrapped it in duct tape, removed our neck bolts before we did that, and then marked it. And we've tested to make sure that when we come through the saw that it's going to be right smack dab in the middle. Now, I recommend you use 2 people to kind of guide it, because it can roll a little bit. As you can see here, it can roll a little bit to kind of hold it steady as you push it through the saw, but don't get your fingers in the saw. Be safe. All right, we've made the slot. As you can see, we've got a nice slot there. It's got a little bit of goobers and stuff on it. We want to clean that up, take the tape off now. Once we get this cleaned up, we can take off the sticky with a little bit of goop off. If you need to, you can get a file kind of in there and just kind of see how some stuff came out of there, clean that up a little bit. We want to get rid of all of these goobers and chunks. And once we get that all cleaned up, then we'll be able to dry fit and see how we like that. We're going to do a little more cleaning and we'll be back. Okay, so now we have cut our stock off here and we've created our groove here and we've cleaned it up. We've put our screws back in to get them started. We take our buttstock, we take our end plate adapter, and we thread it on until it's flush. We tighten our castle nut to a finger tight. Now we insert that in there and then just tighten these down. Once we have them both tightened, we do it pretty good and tight. Once we have them both tightened, we make sure that the stock is straight, and then we tighten our castle nut. And now our end plate adapter installation is done. Of this Forend kit. So you get the Forend, you get a plate to hide the cut, you get an adapter for the Forend to attach to, you get a full aluminum Picatinny rail to replace your plastic one, you get the mounting hardware for this and the mounting hardware for this. So pretty much what you have to do is you have to take the gun out of the stock. It helps if you remove this for the cut, the lower Picatinny rail. You're going to need to remove this foot. You're not going to need either one of these items anymore, so you can put them over to the side. You'll obviously pop that out, take slide this out, pull the gun out. Charging handle has to come off, pull your pins. Once the gun is like this, it's very important that you want to line up your cut. Measure 15 times, cut once. You want to cut 1, 2, 3, and right up against this third rib, right up against it. So my saw removed probably about that much material. So you want to make sure you line it up really, really well. Get it as straight as humanly possible because you want this cut to be at a 90-degree angle. 98-degree angle to this right here. Once the cut's made, you won't need this anymore. You'll have removed your foot. You'll take this screw or bolt and you'll press fit it right in there. And then you'll use that Phillips head screw to actually hold the front of Picatinny down. So now that we've got this piece set up, and on my particular one, I did put some hot glue in there and I was trying something else and it doesn't look pretty, but you can leave yours without the hot glue. My little foot broke that holds this little piece in, so I just super glued it back in, and as you can see, it's holding together just fine. You take your gun, put it back into the stock. You can lock it back in place. You can put your rail attached to your shroud, and there's a video out there on how to install the shrouds. But basically, it's these two plates, you reuse them. Comes with the 4 screws that you need, 2 here, 2 here. And like I said, it comes with the nut and the Phillips to go through there. When you slide this back together, you put your pins in, slide your little levers, put your charging handle, and now that is to get back together. We'll take this, you're gonna kind of fit it right in. Oh, I'm pinching the towel, there we go. Fit it right in there. Then you take your 4-end adapter plate cover, you slide that right down the barrel, kind of have to angle it a little bit and pop it in. You want that as nice and tight as humanly possible because you don't want that flopping around. Then this is the trick. This is the adapter that holds that. It needs to have the fat end this way, see the arrow, and the skinny end that way. And And you take this, you slide it down the barrel. It has two 3mm set screws that you'll need to tighten up. Tighten them up kind of firmly. And then smack it with like a mallet or a little bit of a hammer or something, just to make sure that this is nice and tight so that doesn't flop around. Once you get it nice and tight, or you can kind of push it that way, then you can really get that, and this is lined up perfectly straight, right down the middle there. You tighten that up nice and good and tight. Once you get that good and tight, you're set. Then your Phillips will go in here, and you screw that down. That will hold the front of the Picatinny down to this piece so that this piece doesn't flop around or move. Then you take your forend, and in my case, I've already got the flip up on it, and I've got an M-lock QD cup for a sling, and I've put a rail on the bottom of it and a foregrip on it. Take the forend, slide it down. You see it has two little teeth tabs. Those go on either side of that adapter end plate cover. And then you get that nice and tight. Use your two little screws or bolts and screws from the other side. Everything's now locked in place. You've got it all put back together. You're ready to go.